So welcome everybody to week 1 tutorial. My name is Tanya Leach and I'm your course examiner and your teacher. There's 32 participants enrolled as of today, but enrolment still continues until the end of next week. There's been a slight extension, so we might have some more colleagues also enrolling in the course. So I've been at the university for 2 years now, and I teach across the Masters of Teaching and Learning, the primary and the secondary course. And you might have heard before, I've just taken on the position of professional experience coordinator as well, which is really lovely and a lovely connection also to this particular course. So I am still very much a practitioner at heart. I taught for over 20 years from prep to year 12. I've been a head of department, head of school. I've been in regional curriculum, state curriculum positions. I've had lots and lots of opportunities because I chose to teach in rural and remote first. So I bring that context with me, and I've also taught online students as well. So we're going to look at what alternate contexts are today, position also the structure of the course and the case-based framework that we utilise. I'll just do a quick tour of the study desk to navigate, show you how to navigate and how the course was designed for you to interact with it, so that you can move through the course materials and see the links and how it's nested. There are 3 assessment pieces for the course, and sometimes people go, oh my goodness, that's a heavy load. The first one is not a big one, and I'll take you through the expectations and the expectations of the written short responses to that as well. But certainly task 2 and 3 are your big. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for you. I'm hoping that my children do not come in. So I just thought I'd share a bit about myself as on a personal level. So I have 4 children. That was taken 6 years ago now. And my husband, who is also a school principal, band 7 at Kingsthorpe State School. So there are my kids. On the right, that's Jacob. He's now first year education. But he's been out of school for 2 years, so he's 20. Isabel, she's now first year nursing. Isaac is now 15. I think he wants to be a rapper, I'm not sure. And Andrew is my youngest. He's 9 and he still wants to play for the Broncos. So that's my life with my husband and 4 kids. And in our spare time, we have a boat. So we love to get out on the water and snorkel and fish and all those sorts of things. And that's certainly the relaxing component for me and my family. And certainly as we work through coursework, many of you are probably juggling families and work. And so I thought we might just do a quick whip around just to share one thing about yourself to sort of build or start building a community of practice amongst our colleagues. So I'll just start from the list that I have here. So I've got another Tanya. Tanya, would you like to share one thing about yourself?
Oh, well, I am a mum to 3 kids, a 10-year-old, 17-year-old and 19-year-old. And my husband's FIFO. He's also studying at USQ to do a degree as well.
There you go. So your life is very busy. So I'm a similar sort of age gap with children.
Yeah.
I totally get the complexity. Thank you for that. Ireland.
I'm in my 3rd year of prac, and I've just finished my prac for the start of the year.
Oh, perfect. So you did EFP3100.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's an exciting placement, and certainly I'll be talking about the links about that as well, because we now have an embedded alternate context opportunity. So Ireland's just completed that. Thank you, Ireland. I've got Kay San, SAUN 88. Who's that? Is that a Kylie? I've got a message. Oh, right, mine. Okay, thank you. You're saving your voice. So you're also a mum to a 4.5-year-old, started prep and in your 3rd year of your degree. So prep's an exciting time for kids. I always found it really sad in one way, but happy in another as well. So we've got 3 mums so far, and Ireland, who's not a mum. Lisa. Is it Lisa, Liza?
Oh, no, it's normal Lisa, yeah.
Normal Lisa, that's okay.
I'm a mum too. I have an 18-year-old son, second year uni,
Mm-hmm.
and a 15-year-old daughter. I'm trying to race my son to graduate before he does.
Some good, healthy competition.
Yeah, although he seems to just go, it's easy, Mum. But yeah, so I'm really busy with, I'm a teacher aide, and I have my uni boy stop sport because he wants to focus on his studies, but my 15-year-old is just a hurdler that just training all the time. So very in and out of the house.
Absolutely. Thank goodness for technology then, isn't it?
I know. I sit at the track with I was colouring in because I did my EFP3100 as well, and I was prepped, so I was colouring in things out at the running track, and everyone was like, oh gosh, and she tried to really.
Well, it's good. Yeah, and I think it's good if we all have an understanding of each other as well, you know, as we connect, because we can sometimes have different expectations of how we can connect and how, you know, many times we can do that. So understanding each other is really important. So thanks so much for sharing. I've got Patria.
Yep, that's right. I'm a mum of 3. I have an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a newly 3-year-old.
How exciting. You're busy.
Oh, very busy. And I've just finished up prac for EPP3100.
Yes.
And I'm now volunteering twice a week at that school in the same classroom.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so I'm teaching twice a week.
Wonderful. What an opportunity for you.
Yeah, it's been really great so far.
Oh, wonderful. That's exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've got another one here as well. So Mike's not working. 3 crazy footy boys. Oh, I hope that's league. Might be able to talk to you if it's union. I work as an industry liaison officer full-time at a high school, school-based traineeships and apprenticeships. What an important transition for kids, isn't it? And 4th year of study. Oh, and you're a league person, so good-o. Thank you for sharing. Oh, my goodness, the list has jumped. I think I've got Yasmin. Oh, no, Yasmin talked before and she was going on mute.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm in the car.
That's okay. We know that you're at driving home with kids.
Yeah, so I've got a 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and my 9-year-old has autism, so that's challenging sometimes.
Yes.
I'm in my 4th year of study. So I've only got 4 subjects this semester, and then 1 subject plus my internship next semester. So almost done it, almost there.
Wonderful. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Now, have I missed anybody? I've got MJDUN.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out where to unmute. It's Jess. I'm in 2nd year, but I've picked up this one a bit early just with things being stuck in places. I've got little girl Abby who's nearly turning 3, and then the little monkey that was on my lap a minute ago was Jagger. And he's
lovely.
1.5.
Okay. Oh, well, how lovely. Well, thank you, everybody, so much for sharing a little bit about yourselves. Certainly there. And I can see the different perspectives that you will bring. And also it allows me to understand from this group, anyway, the third of the participants, some of the competing demands that you have. So as I said, very open for communication, early communication, any issues or clarification. All you need to do is email me, and I also put my phone number up there as well, so you can just text me. We can always organise one-on-one phone calls or set up another Zoom. You would see that this room here is your common room, so it's open 24 hours, 7 days a week, so you can connect at any time. And I generally, by the third week, once things settle down, will allocate an hour that I just hop into the room and I'm just working, having a coffee. But I would let you know that I'm in the room. So if anyone wants to jump in to ask anything in an informal manner, you are more than welcome to. Okay, so let's get back in and clarify then the intent of this particular course and what we really are focusing on. So as I said, being an effective practitioner, connecting with your students and ensuring that learning is occurring is at the forefront of everything that I do when I teach at the university or I teach in a classroom. And so I love this little quote here that sort of positions how all the materials within this course sit and what they're all aimed towards. So sometimes we need to walk through some doors. We need to bring with us our experiences that we have from outside the classroom, the knowledges that we've been learning, whether that be formally through our university or informally. We bring all of that through and to translate and transform that into the classroom so that it connects with students. And sometimes that's really challenging, the putting the theory into practice and really having clarity around that. So through this course, you'll see that we bring in a whole lot of different threads, but for me it's about bringing those together in a streamlined way so there is a point of clarity for you when you are making decisions to teach in alternate contexts. And actually the thinking that you're doing within this particular course is no different to any thinking that you would actually do within any classroom. And that will become clearer as we go through the course. So this course is designed around a case study approach. So we immerse you in a rural and remote case study to illustrate the thinking and the use of the framework, and then we explore how we apply that approach into other alternate contexts. So when we talk alternate contexts within this course, we're not talking about different philosophies as such, like a Montessori approach. That's not what we mean by alternate context. We actually mean different from a mainstream or common classroom setting. And so one of the activities this week is to go in and read a little bit about alternate contexts and come up with your own definition. And so it'll be really nice next week to reflect on those, and I'll be going in and making comments as well. So if we start in the middle and we look at the school, right in the centre of that is student learning. So all decisions that we make are focused on student learning. Sometimes that's not purely academic. It might be about engagement, social emotional learning, as well as academic. So we look holistically at students. But three frames, and they're the dark blue ones, that really inform you making explicit evidence-based decisions are knowing the context well and knowing the factors within your context that impact on the decisions you make in the classroom. Distance, resources, technology, your timetable, your specialist support, teacher aid support, all of those sorts of things impact on how you design learning within your classroom. Then you've got the students. So from a helicopter point of view, looking into a school, there'd be some certain demographics that you would be able to unpack. And we're going to look at how you can actually unpack those throughout the course. And then when you get into your school, you then are able to develop student profiles, and you're able to look more intimately at the student learning. So where they are, what other evidence you've got. Perhaps sometimes you might be in a school that has whole school data processes, so you're able to connect with previous teachers to say, oh, you know, what worked for you here, those sorts of things. So we go from a broad outside helicopter view down into an intimate knowledge of student learning needs in your classroom. And when we look at that, of course, we think that, at the individual level. But to be able to manage that in a classroom, we actually need to bring it back to about 4 common learning goals within any lesson. And then we can differentiate our approaches around that. So each student will have individual learning goals, but one group will have the same learning goal. So it's like every student, but for us, it's managing it in a really streamlined, simple way. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Then we look at the pedagogy. So different contexts might require a bit of a flexing. I like the term flexing your style. So you might have a really strong knowledge of explicit instruction methodology. That's quite a common overarching whole school methodology in Queensland schools. Or you might have been in a school that had a focus on 21st century learning, or the art of science, what's that, Mazzano's work. Whatever it is, they're all pretty similar around how to deliver specific content within your lesson to ensure that student learning occurs. So how do we use our classroom structure in a purposeful way? How do we use learning intentions and success criteria? What are the strategies we're going to use to ensure active student learning is occurring in our classroom? And what does that look like if we have to do that online? What does that look like if we have to do it in a flexi school? What does it look like if we're in a hospital school? And what does it look like if we're in a one-teacher school with 7 grades? So we come from the context, the students, the pedagogy, and we bring that all together through this thinking frame to design effective learning opportunities for students. Now, the other things that contribute to how successful we are in doing that sits in those tanned coloured shapes, the teacher professional attributes. And they're sort of woven into everything we do. And so as we move through the context, the students, the pedagogies, we're going to be looking and talking about what are the attributes that you need in that context to be able to do that in an efficient way. So that's the inner thinking of the case study approach within your school. But when you're in a school, and as some of you know, there are other factors that also influence some of those decisions. So there might be a system impact or influence. So for example, you might be working in an Education Queensland school, and you might be in a particular region that has a focus on using a certain approach or pedagogy for teaching reading, and they have to collect reading data formally and informally, every 2 weeks, for example. So that's a decision that's out of your control. You just have to enact it. So there's some system influences you might need to manage, and that impacts on how you structure your week and your lessons as well. And then there are also some government impacts that come down. So at the moment, there's a huge government focus on STEM. So all of a sudden, through the system, through into the school, you might have all of this information coming to you about STEM. So not only have I got to know the context and the students and the pedagogy, and I'm designing all these things, but now all of a sudden I've got to get my head around STEM as well. So what we do is we look at this and we think to ourselves, okay, when all this information is coming in, how do we translate that into effective learning into the classroom, so that first of all, we have clarity and we say, okay, well, I can manage this piece of that puzzle at the moment and then this piece, so that I'm not overwhelmed. And we look at streamlining our implementation of those other factors. Okay, so within the case analysis approach, whichever lens we're looking at, these are the steps that we go through. So when we start looking at the structural features and the context, we're going to identify and analyse the complexities and do some drilling down, looking at the elements, making some decisions. Do we agree, disagree? Is that going to work? Isn't it? What does the research say? So when we move to step 2, we utilise that theory to identify the complexities and also to help us understand and analyse them. And then we go into a solution-focused frame. So we say, okay, so that is a complexity of this context. What can we do to be solution focused and address that? And then we justify our selection of solutions with theories. So as we move through tonight's session, I want to check your understanding of assessment demands and scope of the course as we unpack each one. And then also ask you just to post any initial wonderings that you might have around the structure of the course.
If we're going to do that, I just got it added to another subject of mine. The check boxes that are down the right-hand side, are we able to add them in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can track your progress.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. I'll note that. Perfect. What I might do is I might just share my... Okay, so now you can see the study desk for teaching in alternative contexts. And I just want to outline the structure of how to navigate and find information. So what you'll see is, of course, the normal tabs down the left-hand side: course activity, getting started, forums, assessment, and study schedule. When we have a look at your study schedule, I'd just like you to know that while it is populated with a lot of detailed information, in order to understand the context of each of the learning opportunities and the intent of each week, it is imperative that you do actually engage through the course activity section. So the study schedule is used for an overview of the course content, the types of activities, and if there's any assessment in that particular week. So let's come back to the course activity section. So at the top here, you'll see that there's an announcements tab. In the announcement tab, when you click on that, you'll see that the tutorial thread, weekly tutorial time, is there. And what I will do is add in the recordings to the tutorials as each week tutorial is completed. So coming back to course activity again, you have menu buttons. So in order to access the information, you need to click on the menu. When we look at the communication button here, this outlines the expectations when we're communicating with each other in a written mode, but it also has our common room. And for those of you who are connected into the tutorial, you'll note that this is our Zoom room. The important thing about this room is it's open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and so you are able to connect with your colleagues in that space. You don't require a password or a host. I will make myself available during the weeks as well for an hour where I'll just be having a coffee. So if there's any questions that you have, you can connect with me in an informal way. And I will also post that in the announcement tab as well. All right, so you'll notice that you can, once you click on a menu, you can choose the arrows at the top or at the bottom of the post, although there's nothing to go back to jump to any section. So you could jump to the main course page where all the menus are, all the orientation, getting started, assessment work, or week 1 to 4. They're the ones that are available. But we'll go back to the main course page just to show you what it looks like again. So as you come down, we can look at the weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll note that there are different topics covered in each of these weeks. In week 1, topic 1 and topic 2 are covered. And in the topic 2, you will find the assessment 1, task 1 templates. In week 2, under the topic 3, you'll find assignment 1, task 2. In week 3, under topic 4, you'll find assignment 1, task 3. And in week 4, topic 5, you will find assignment 1, task 4. And we're going to talk about the assignments shortly. But the structure for each week is very similar. So again, click on the heading. And when it chooses to open up, you'll see that you have an overview of each topic, as well as the focus areas for that topic, the learning intentions, and then you'll be asked to read. Sometimes it's watch and read, and then respond to something. So in this one, you're introducing yourself to your colleagues. In topic 2, you have an overview, your learning intentions, and then something to watch, something to read, and something to respond to, which is your assignment 1, task 1 template. So all the parts here that are blue are hyperlinked, and they're either activities or readings or websites that you need to access. And again, you can come up to the top, you can scroll backwards, or you could click onto week 2. Okay, so the structure of this is to be a 1 page for each topic so that it limits the scrolling. Again, you can navigate backwards and forwards, or you can jump back to the main course page here, or if I click here, you can access it at the course activity. Embarrassed about asking any questions or putting forward where they've been confused or what they would like some clarity about to date. Any questions?
I have a question, please, Tanya.
Yeah.
On the schedule you said will be readjusted, but I only came in on the end of that conversation. It's got there in the assessment, task 1 quiz, short answer responses for week 1, and task 1 written response. Is that something that's still this week?
It is. So I'll just show you. Once you've watched the lecture, then you'll be able to go down and have a look at the activity. So I'll just open that. And this is where you'll get a lot with the lecture, a lot of the information for the quiz. So the quiz, the week 1, 2, 3 and 4, I guess mini tasks have 2 parts. They have the quiz and the written response. And they are just designed, those 4 tasks, to engage you and I guess force you into the course material to understand the case-based approach and the framework to set you up for success for assignment 2 and 3. So within the activities, you read the information and you access the links as well around the base research, and you can see how it puts you into a role. So you're in a school and you've seen Sandy Plains School from the first topic, and now you're in a meeting. So you've got here, your chairperson has constructed the following questions. So here are some questions for you to reflect upon. You don't have to respond formally in this part here, but it helps you move towards then the written response. So then you navigate across and you've got, action plans. So what are some system thinking? So we're moving out into that system box around addressing rural and remote education. So you can read the action plan, the advancing education paper, and then there's some ponderings or some things to consider. But you can also look at the New South Wales Rural and Remote Education Blueprint to have a look at how other states are responding to that. Once you've had a little dive into those, you can then do the assessment 1 task, or if you want, open the task sheet first. So when we open that, excellent, I'll just stop sharing. It's going to download. Sorry, I'll open it up. I'll have to share that. Okay, let me share Word. Oops. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's excellent, Tanya. Task 1, that's the assignment sheet. Here it is. I'll just share that. Okay, so then here is the example of the task 1. So you have 4 of these to complete, 1 in week 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can sit down and complete them all in week 4 if you wanted to. They don't take long. So the short answer part here, there's 4 questions for each of the tasks. The first one is always to build your fluency around understanding the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers and their focus areas. So it's a matching activity. So if you don't know what the definition of them is, then you go into the ATSOR website and the link is in the activity. And then the questions here. So identify and briefly describe 3 structural features. So that's identified within the week's lecture video. So it tells you to go to that video. So when we say briefly describe, it is, this is the structural feature and it means this. So I'm looking for 1 sentence, 1 and a bit sentences. Question 3, according to the Advancing Education Report, how many students are in rural and remote areas? So that's just a straight number. I'm not expecting you to put that into in the Advancing Education Report, there are this many students, just write the number, but look carefully in that one because a lot of people get that wrong. According to the Advancing Education Consultation Report, how many rural and remote schools are there in Queensland? So very simple. Okay, so and that's the quiz. The written response then is, as you've moved through that activity that I just looked at before, in 2 to 3 paragraphs. So it's not, I don't want it to be 1,000 words. We're looking at 200, 250 words at the most. Due date for that is, I think, the 15th of April. Some questions here. Okay, no questions, just some statements. So that's assessment 1. Are there any clarification questions, or can you see that it's quite straightforward for that one? It really doesn't take a lot of time to do that.
Is there a weekly deadline
No.
for? No. So as long as we've collated all of those together for the assignment, it's all good.
Absolutely, it's all good. And you might choose to do it and upload week 1, upload week 2, upload week 3, upload week 4, or you can choose to just combine them all into one document and upload it. Whatever works for you. Okay, so that's the first one, and typically that's what you know, at this time people are more worried about. When we move through then to the next one, I'll just move forward because I went straight into the task. Now what we'll do is, once you're engaging in the course materials, parallel to that, we'll start looking at students and student needs and some of the pedagogical approaches that support teaching in rural and remote areas. So I will take you through, there's, you know, recorded lectures around how to multi-age plan, but our tutorials will actually take us through the thinking process, and we will do planning together in sections to clarify our thinking of how to do that and how to use all the information of the context, the students and the pedagogy into a series of multi-age lessons. So we will co-construct one together. Now, of course, it won't be in the context that you need to use for assignment 2 in terms of the learning area, but the thinking process will be there, and you'll just be able to use the same thinking process for your lessons. Then alongside your 3 lessons, you will then do a bit of an analysis around why you've used certain approaches and the decisions that you made that meet or address some structural feature considerations, some learner considerations, and some pedagogical considerations. When we talk about working with stakeholders in assessment 2, we're going to be looking at just working with our paraprofessionals or our teacher aides in the classroom, and how we have deliberately designed to utilise their expertise within a specific context in case that you've been given. So I won't go into any more detail today about that one, because we will be unpacking examples, strong and weak examples, to look at the characteristics that you need to have evident. And as I said, we will be going through some modelled lessons and some shared lessons around actually doing that thinking. Does anyone have any questions around that one? And that one is due the week after assignment 1, so we'll be working on that while you're finishing assignment 1, and that's why I'm opening up all of the materials early for you. And as I said, you have got those other weeks when a placement occurs, where a lot of you aren't actually going on that placement, that you can utilise to do that. So okay, so now let's talk about assessment 3, your group assessment. Collaboration really early. You'll have an opportunity next week to start putting your names down against the context that you want to do this particular assignment in. So you can choose the hospital school, the flexi school, or the School of Distance Ed. And in your group, you will design a online presentation. You'll be using Zoom to do that, and each of the features, the structural features, the learners, the pedagogies, and the working with stakeholders will be addressed. You are marked as one. However, when we break it up around the expectations, if you've got 4 in a group, my expectation would be that you would each work on one component to put that together. Now, if it works out that people drop out and that there might be, for example, a group of 2, then I negotiate with you and I reduce the number of parts that you have to talk about so that it is equitable workload, okay? So every group and every individual will have an equitable workload. Now, I know along the way there may be issues where people aren't teaching within this group work, and so early communication, I will be checking in with groups regularly around that to see if we need to make any adjustments to who's in the group and what's happening. Okay, so sometimes when that happens, an individual will have to do their own presentation and the other people are marked by themselves. All right, so I'm very about equity and not doing anybody else's work. Okay, so that's the 3 assessments to talk about and the case-based approach. And that was really all I wanted to touch base with you on tonight. Is there anything else anyone would like to raise? Let me have a look. I can see some in the chat box.
So, Tanya,
Tanya, thank you very much. I was just very worried, so
Good. Wonderful. Well, okay, everyone. What I'll ask you to do is any continuing questions you have, please post in the forums. And other than that, I will see you next week for our tutorial.